Okay, so I'm struggling to understand something. As you guys know, I've been critical of Democratic leadership, and I've said you guys should have spent the last 3 months reminding everybody that you don't have any control over government. You don't have the House, you don't have the Senate, you don't have the presidency. Therefore, you bear no responsibility if the government shuts down, period. The Republicans wanted total control. They have total control. So it's not on you guys, Democrats. You could just simply say, if you need our help, we're here, but it's on you. Now, Donald Trump has threatened that if the government shuts down, he's going to sabotage government, he's going to fire everybody, he's going to whatever. And nobody wants that. But why is it that Democrats are not out there, the leaders are not out there saying, okay, if you want to sabotage your government, I mean, that's pretty reckless, but you're the president in a shutdown. If that's really what you want to do, you want to sabotage the U.S. government because you're throwing a fit, because you have all the power, but you can't get your Republicans together? Okay. I mean, we don't want that. This is what the Democrats should be. We don't want it, but that's your choice. Instead, they're running around like chickens with their head cut off, scared that Donald Trump will do this. Like, I get it. We don't want him to do it, but it's his government. It's his responsibility. And if he sabotages it, he's going to look like a complete idiot and terrible. I don't understand it. Anyway, I've been through 100 of these, and all I know is that when the government shuts down, it's all about who takes the blame. And right now, Democratic leadership, who has no power, is actually doing a terrible job of putting the blame where it belongs, which is the president and the Republicans.
A lot of you aren't going to like this, but there is only one explanation for the absolute havoc that Trump is wreaking on our nation right now. I mean, no outside enemy in a million years could have done as much damage as Trump in just 8 months, and he's only getting started. And the answer is that we are under God's hand of judgment. There's no other explanation for it. The blinders over the eyes of 77 million people, that they could not see this man for who he is. The sycophants around him who refuse to even blink unless Trump says so. This is God's judgment. And the protests are good and important, but you can't protest your way out of judgment. You have to repent. And specifically for the 400 years of oppression of the black community, 400 years of putting profit and greed over people. And this is why we made our film, The Sins of Our Fathers, Race, Religion, and the Rise of Trump, to tie what's happening right now all the way back to slavery, to the greed and the cruelty that this nation was literally founded on.
Is this real life right now? I am dead serious. Is what's going on in these United States of America real life right now? I'm going to need somebody to tell me, because listening to that person get up in front of the United Nations and make once again a complete and utter fool out of himself was almost more than I could bear. And I've lost a child, and I grieve every single day. The secondhand and firsthand embarrassment of listening to that inarticulate, sorry excuse of a human being get up there and not only insult the entire global community, but do so while singing his own praises and taking credit for things that had nothing to do with him. Not to mention make up lie after lie after lie. I never listen to him speak. If I see anything where I'm going to have to hear his voice, I quickly scroll by or I change the channel. But I was at work yesterday, and I work in a clinical setting, and there was a patient in an exam room or a treatment room with the TV on, and I guess they interrupted all programming for his speech. And so I was subjected to listening to that, and I nearly lost my mind. The fact that there are people who celebrate, support, and cheer on this person who is occupying the White House is beyond my imagination. I don't get it. Enlighten me.
Donald Trump just ordered the military to occupy Portland without consent. Let me be clear, this is unlawful. He claims Portland is war-ravaged and under siege by Antifa terrorists. That's a lie. There's no war. There's no siege. And Americans exercising their right to protest are not terrorists. This isn't about safety, it's about silencing dissent. And now Trump wants to use our military to trample on Americans' rights because they don't support him. As a veteran, I need to speak directly to any active duty service members who see this. If you receive orders to deploy to Portland, it's time. Time to remember your oath. Time to refuse unlawful orders. Your obligation isn't to Donald Trump, it's to the Constitution. And the Constitution protects the rights of the people you're now being told to suppress.
The mistake we are doing as Democrats is that we are fighting a pig in the mud. We are fighting a pig in the mud. It's Anthony here. I love you all. Welcome to my channel. And as I usually say, if I had a present for every one of you, I would give you. But hopefully one day I'll be able to do so. So forgive me for the moment. So Trump drives in chaos. That's something that is good in. And at the moment, he has created chaos to distract you all. He has created chaos to distract you from the Epstein files, from the harm the tariffs is causing, from the high unemployment rates, which are at the moment. He is doing so to distract you from high grocery prices, which are really making Americans suffer. He is doing so to distract you from all the complaints American farmers are making that their produce is not getting out of the stores. So Trump drives in chaos. And when you see this looming government shutdown, it's all a strategy to maybe make some bills pass in the Congress and maybe a way to have his way. And as the government shutdown is coming, he's sending military to Portland. So what he's doing, he's bombarding our news networks with so many things going on in such that we lose track of the narrative. That's what he's doing. He has sent military to New York City. He sent ICE to Chicago. He has sent military to Portland. He has sent military to Venezuela. Exiled has summoned the military generals to Virginia. Chaos, 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 chaos. He is buying TikTok.
Imagine being a 4-star general getting called to Quantico to get a lecture on the warrior ethos from an alcoholic former National Guardsman and TV personality who was only picked for this job because he's willing to do anything, no matter how unethical or illegal, because it's his only shot at accomplishing anything in life. You know, other than being the weekend co-host for Fox and Friends. Those admirals and generals are gonna have to keep a straight face while that former National Guardsman lectures them on how to be better at war and achieve maximum lethality. Because this doesn't sound like a waste of time. By the way, the travel alone for the ultimate this should have been an email meeting with Pete Hegseth and all of these generals and admirals will run in the millions of dollars because they have to travel with support staff and aides and security. Oh, and let's not even bring up the fact that we're announcing to the world that so many of our top commanders will be away from their posts and all centralized in one location for a certain period of time. But what else would you expect from the dude who used Signal for his defense team huddle chat where he disclosed classified information to people without clearance, including his wife?
All of you guys going to protest Kamala Harris at her book tour to interrupt, to scream about Gaza, I've got to be the dumbest people I've ever met. What sense does it make to interrupt someone at their book tour who's not the president? There is nothing she can do. Have you been to the White House? Have you stood outside on Pennsylvania Avenue? The White House is right down there. Right down there. Pennsylvania is right down there. I live in Washington, D.C. You can go right down the street. You can go yell at him. Y'all will go interrupt Harris talking about her own personal experience for her book tour before you go interrupt the president who decides policy, who determines what actually happens overseas. Y'all give black women the kind of animosity you would never give that white man. And you should examine why that is. Anyways, keep screaming at someone who can't do anything, who tried to do something, who tried to run, who didn't win. Take a Civics 101 course, learn how government works, learn who's in power.
We have some major news right now. There is confusion within the Pentagon over what the term full force means after Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that he's directing the United States military to essentially go into Portland, Oregon against American civilians and authorizing, quote, full force if needed. That term right there, folks, essentially toes the line and potentially violates posse comitatus, which essentially prevents the United States military from acting against Americans, acting as the president's personal police force. And right now, folks within the Pentagon don't know what that term means. And just take a minute and let that sink in. The president of the United States posted something on Truth Social. His Pentagon doesn't know what it means, but it implies the use of the military against American civilians. This is a moment that doesn't call for normalization, it calls for action. No one should normalize the use of the United States military against American civilians, especially not the mainstream media. Spread the word, more to come soon. Follow along for all the news you need to know about and subscribe to my Substack at the link in my bio to support my work.
We have to impeach this man. We have got to impeach Donald Trump because on Meet the Press, when asked if he would uphold the Constitution, he said, "I don't know." The President of the United States, the man who took an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution, said, "I don't know," because it's seeming to be inconvenient for him at this point because he has an issue with the Fifth Amendment in which citizens and non-citizens are granted the same rights of due process under the law because he says, well, that would take thousands and thousands of court cases. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. Without due process, we are just rounding up people and shipping them off. They don't get to defend themselves. They don't get their right day in court. They don't get to say that they are actually citizens and have the ability to prove that in front of a court of law. It is just whatever Donald Trump and his administration wants to do to round up whoever they want and send them off. That is the problem. And he says, well, I don't know if I want to uphold the Constitution. Folks, we are 100 days into this administration. I don't even know if we are at this point. And if you say we're not at a constitutional crisis, I'm not sure what's going to get you there because he is flat out saying he does not believe in upholding the Constitution because it might get his hands dirty and he might have a little trouble just pushing his agenda down our throats. We are 100 days in. What are the next 4 years going to be? The only way we're going to make it is if we cut those 4 years short. We have got to impeach the president. Democrats, at any point, when you have the ability, if it's the midterms, whatever, you've got to impeach him immediately. We have to remove this man and we have got to move forward because he is dragging us down a path that is so dangerous. And not wanting to uphold the Constitution is something I did not think I would hear from the President of the United States. So if this is the first 100 days, buckle up.
Donald Trump, let's get real here, is trying to become America's first dictator. Do you want that? I didn't think so. I don't want it either. I keep getting this great question asked. How do we stop him? And so here are 6 ways that I think we can stop him and win. 1, and this is the most important, don't panic. It's so important that I'm going to say it again. Don't panic. Are you panicking about Donald Trump right now? Lots of people are. Well, slap yourself across the face. I just did it. I'm not panicking anymore. Donald Trump right now is engaging, in shock and awe. He's engaging in a sprint. For him to become America's first dictator, it's going to take a marathon. We can win the marathon. 2, and this is the low-lying fruit. We don't have to be entirely active. Donald Trump will self-sabotage. He's not right in the head. He keeps making major mistakes and his popularity is down. According to the latest Gallup poll, he's underwater in terms of favorability. And what got him over the hump in terms of the election was the economy. Only 42% of people believe he's handling the economy well. 53% believe the economy is on the wrong track. Trump's policies mean you go to the VA hospital, no nurses. There are going to be E. coli outbreaks because no food inspectors. The list goes on. People are going to be unhappy. It's hard to become a dictator when you're not popular. His numbers are going to continue to drop. 3, now we get to the active parts of defeating Trump. And I'm going to start out with one that undoubtedly people will not like the most because it requires self-sacrifice. There are a lot of people who voted for Trump not because they're racist, not because they're sexist, because they just wanted more money in their wallet. They didn't care if he was a dictator or not, as long as he made them economically more comfortable. So our job is to make sure that the economy is sour. There are going to be economic boycott days. I think first one is February 28th. Don't spend. Matter of fact, don't spend over the next 4 years. Don't buy that car. Don't buy that TV. Tell people who are overseas, don't come here to visit. 4, slow Trump down by making sure that Democrats win control of the House in 2026. And actually, there'll be an early election in New York, Stefanik's district, that Democrats can also win. People are saying there won't be fair elections in 2026. That's just panicking. We can't presume that. And if there are fair elections, we can win the House. That will slow Trump down. 5, support organizations that are taking Donald Trump to court to slow him down, to make sure that he doesn't become America's first dictator. Mark my words, he will lose at least some Supreme Court rulings, maybe even most. And we can't presume that he will ignore those losses. If he adheres to them, he can be stopped. And finally, 6, protests. Protests are just beginning. My wife and my daughter were already at a protest in D.C. As Donald Trump's popularity goes down, those protests will, mark my words, organically grow. And when they get large, you need to be there. Don't be shy. Show your displeasure. Remember, don't panic. Donald Trump is winning the sprint, but it's a marathon. We can win the marathon. Donald Trump will make mistakes. We play our cards right. Come 2028, if there's a fair election, I think there will be, we can make America American again.
Donald Trump just reminded us yet again why he is such a dangerous president. This reporter asked him a question about Antifa, and just look at the way he responds. He threatens their entire news network. It's unbelievable.
Regarding Antifa, what you posted. NPR, sir. Regarding
Are they still here?
They are?
Are they still here? Oh, good. Congratulations.
Yeah. Regarding designate.
It was kind of hard to hear him, but he instantly said, "Who are you with?" And he says, "Oh, NPR's still here. They won't be for long." Then he asks, "Does Antifa have anything to do with your network?" implying that he might investigate this news network for simply asking him a question. If you care about democracy at all, that response should set off every alarm bell that you have. He threatened one of America's oldest and most respected news outlets simply because a reporter asked him a question about something he said on Truth Social. And he didn't even try to hide it. He said it on camera in front of the press pool. That is not normal. He is acting like a textbook authoritarian, and that is not an exaggeration. He has consistently labeled the Democrats as well as anyone else who criticizes him or stands up against him as enemies of the state. He likes to make up boogeymans. In this case, it was Antifa, which just means anti-fascist, to make his followers fear these people. Next, he said that they're not going to be around much longer because they asked a question that he didn't like. That is not leadership. That is propaganda and intimidation.
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you for watching this video to the end. And as I usually say, my name is Anthony, and if I had a present for you all, I would give you, because I love you guys. So thank you for watching this video. And one thing I like about you guys is that you are, maybe some of you are even well informed than me. That's what I like about you. So it's very important to always talk with reasonable people who have knowledge of what's going on in our country, because we both can have informed discussions of what's going on around our country. So I was having a live stream the other day, and one lady asked me, how can we stop Donald Trump? How can we stop Donald Trump? First and foremost, you saw the recently released data that Republicans are outnumbering us in the party registrations. The Republicans are outnumbering us. The other thing, during the elections, some of us don't come out to vote. Yes, we vote in less numbers. Maybe in the early votings we do well, but when it comes to in-person voting, that's how we do poorly. Republicans really outmaneuver us there. So it's very bad. What we need to do first is to ensure that most of us are registered, right? The second, awareness. Let's engage in these town halls. Let's be having these public discussions, and at least let us have a narrative. You see, Republicans, they have Project 2025, which at the moment they are implementing stage by stage, and this is a coup to our government. This is treason. Trump tried to take the government in 2020 after the elections, which he lost, January 6th, it's trying to overthrow the government, which he was not able. And you saw Brazil gave Bolsonaro 27 years. Ours got a ticket to the White House. It's very bad. So let's leave that. So after January 6th, Trump tried to overthrow the government, which he wasn't able. So now, what he found out, he found a loophole. You can do a coup through narrative change, through policy change, which are permanent. And how do you ensure that these policy changes are permanent? By ensuring that your people or your party doesn't ever come out of power. They have the Supreme Court. They are registering Republicans in mass numbers to ensure that in all the general elections they have their way. So one of the things that we have to do, we have to come with a vision of where we want our country to be as Democrats. We come with a playbook, right? What we want for our country too. Because we can't have Christian nationalists running our government. We can't have people who have ideologies similar to the 1933 German era running our government. We can't. So first and foremost, we have to register our people in mass. We have to ensure that we engage in a narrative, and we have to have a vision for our country. Because we cannot say Republicans are bad, we want to take the government, and we don't have an agenda which is rooted to our followers, to our party members, to our fellow Americans. We have to have a vision, what we want for our country. Because they are claiming that the right claims that we have the leftists, we have the liberals. This is the problem. We have to unite as one and have a good agenda for this country going forward. Because it's a mess which Trump will leave back for this country.